Some kinds of racism are now very fashionable. Here is a psychiatrist, fresh from giving a lecture at Harvard University, last week telling a black professor on America's Black News channel exactly why she'd said that she dreamed of shooting whites and why every single one of them was bad.
Would it be fair to say, based on your expertise, that white people are psychopathic?
I think so. Yeah, the level of lying that white people do that has started since colonialism, we're just used to it.
That anti-white racism, perfectly okay. But on the other hand, we see whites so scared of seeming racist that it leads to children being killed. And I say that because we just got the report of a public inquiry into the bombing of an Ariana Grande concert in Manchester, Britain. 22 people, most of them kids, killed by an Islamist suicide bomber. Here's the sick thing that this inquiry discovered. One of the parents waiting for their daughter to come out noticed that suicide bomber, a man looking like someone from northern Africa, he was Libyan, carting around a rucksack outside this concert, looking nervous, shifty. And this dad goes to the security guards and says, "Hey, look, that guy looks like a suicide bomber." Yet they did nothing. And why? Because asking a brown guy what he's doing fingering with his rucksack outside a concert, well, if he asked him something, that people might think he was a racist. Joining me from Britain each Monday is Brendan O'Neill, editor of the online magazine Spiked. Brendan, they actually had the security guard in the dock admitting to this, a white guy. I didn't want people to think I was racist. That's why I didn't do anything. What does this terrible story tell you?
This is so disturbing. The first report of the Manchester Arena inquiry is deeply disturbing. What it reveals is that there were a litany of failures on that night. Miscommunications, people not looking out for things they should have been looking out for, really so many errors. And when you consider the fact that the suicide bomber, Salman Abedi, he was in Manchester Arena for an hour and a half, carrying a rucksack that was so large he could barely walk with it. He struggled to carry it. He was fidgeting. He was nervous. It was perfectly reasonable for some parents to suspect that he was a suicide bomber. And some parents did suspect that he was a suicide bomber. They raised their concerns, and at least one security guard says he didn't report it because he didn't want to appear racist. This is really chilling. Something could potentially have been done to stop the bomber from doing what he did. But I think fear of being called racist is now so strong that people aren't even behaving sensibly in potentially threatening situations.
Well, there was something similar with the shocking rape gangs in several northern English cities, like the one in Rotherham. There too, there are claims that lots of evidence that police and authorities, even journalists, turned a blind eye because almost all the men in the grooming gangs were Muslim. In the Rotherham case, almost all Pakistani. And as the head of the inquiry into this scandal said, we're talking about 1,400 girls, by the way. Staff described their nervousness about identifying the ethnic origins of perpetrators for fear of being thought racist. Woke culture let down 1,400 girls in that town alone, Brendan.
And we have a serious social problem in this country of grooming gangs that are very often of Muslim heritage and very often of Pakistani heritage, not only in Rotherham, but also in Manchester, in Oxford, and in other parts of the country. And in all of these cases, there has been a reluctance to investigate, a reluctance to talk openly about these grooming gangs because of the fear of whipping up Islamophobia, because of the fear of appearing racist. So this, the way in which identity politics depicts everything as racist, describes everyone as racist, that's actually genuinely harming our ability to address social problems and to protect young white working class girls. The vast majority of victims were white working class girls,
to protect those kinds of people from very serious forms of abuse. I think the identity set have a lot to answer for. The way in which they call everything Islamophobic, even if you're just talking about the Quran or depicting Muhammad or raising problems within the Muslim community, the way they do that has really had a devastating impact on our ability to address these problems and to look after our communities in the way we should be doing.
Well, picking up on exactly that point, you've had Muslim men picketing a school 3 months ago and again in Yorkshire to demand the sacking of a teacher who showed his class one of the Charlie Hebdo cartoons of Mohammed, and obviously making a point about free speech. That forced the principal to apologise. Here he is.
The school unequivocally apologises for using a totally inappropriate image.
Brendan, that was 3 months ago, but the teacher is still in hiding, refusing to come back to work for fear of his life. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this school teacher at Batley Grammar is still in hiding, as you say, because he showed the kids in his class, an image of Muhammad in a discussion about blasphemy and freedom of speech. So it was entirely appropriate what he did. It's an image that other teachers have used as well. There were protesters outside the school, Islamic fundamentalists. He received death threats. And what was most disturbing, it was the failure of the establishment to stand by this teacher. The teaching unions didn't stand by him. His school suspended him, although he's now been reinstated. The political class said virtually nothing. This was a teacher, a public servant, hounded into hiding by intolerant religious mobs. And so few people in the political and educational elites stood by him. He's now still living in fear for his life. He's not gone back to school. And this is a real black mark against this country. I think this casts shame on the United Kingdom, the fact that we can't even offer our support to a teacher like this.
Brendan O'Neill, you're so correct. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate that.
Thank you.